Hey, what's up? It's Dane. And today we're going to talk about accents. We're going to talk about why some accents are so difficult to understand for Spanish speakers, the idea of choosing an accent and sticking to it, and then we're going to finish off with some accent training, an accent challenge, if you will. You'll have to listen to different accents and try and decipher or make out what they are saying. It's going to be a fun episode, and at the end of the episode, we'll have a vocabulary check where we make sure you understood every potentially tricky word or phrase. Okay, let's go. You are listening to episode 8 of season 2 of English with Dane. Hit it. I want to start by saying that by the end of this episode, you'll hopefully feel a lot better about something that most people think is their fault. Let me explain. A lot of people say things like, oh, my English isn't that good, or I thought I understood English well until I watched the show, and I was just lost most of the time. And yeah, that can feel discouraging, but here's the truth. You're probably not bad at English, and you're probably just not used to that accent yet, or used to how a particular person speaks. And that's it. That's the episode. Thank you for listening. No, I'm kidding, of course, but well, kind of. I think people often confuse a lack of accent comprehension with a lack of language skill. And that misunderstanding creates a lot of unnecessary shame and insecurity. It makes you feel like you're constantly behind or not ready, when in reality, you're just hearing a version of English you haven't trained your ear for yet. And trust me, you're not alone. There are plenty of native speakers who turn on shows like Dairy Girls or Top Boy and go, wait, I need subtitles. There are shows I can't watch without subtitles if I really want to follow along without missing a word, and it's because the accents are too thick and my brain isn't used to them. So if you've ever felt like you were understanding everything just fine until there was a new character on scene and he started speaking and suddenly you feel like your brain is broken, don't worry about that. You're just listening to a different flavor of English, a different rhythm, a different set of rules, and new sounds that you're not used to, and that's what's throwing you off. Eso es lo que te está descolocando. That's what's throwing you off, con doble F. I also wanted to quickly address something that I've heard different people say online that just seems a bit strange to me. The idea of choosing to learn American or British English. I feel like people get the wrong impression. People are giving out bad advice. It's not really a choice you ever have to make. You'll probably have a mix of everything you hear, everything that you're exposed to, and that's not a bad thing. Don't neglect words or ways of saying things because you think, oh, that's not how an American or English person would say it, so I don't say it. Say what comes naturally to you and don't look back. The way you sound is a direct representation of your life story, so there's no real need to fix it unless nobody can understand you, of course. I know another issue here is that if you're learning a language, you need to know if you're pronouncing things right, but there just isn't really a right way. I assume those of you who worry about this are really talking about consistency and coherence within an accent. It's okay for you to want your accent to be coherent, but the reality is that because it's your second or third language, the range that makes your accent coherent or not is so wide you don't really have to think about it too much. I think you're worse off trying to force an American or British accent. I feel like this usually results in exaggeration or overpronunciation of certain vowel sounds. I'd rather you say, I don't know if I can, than I don't know if I can. That's one thing I've noticed with speakers who try to force an American accent, that "an" sound. I don't think I can. For me, that's a sign that someone is just really trying to force it. So yeah, you might have come across a TikTok or two that tell you that if you want to sound more native, you should pick an accent, American or British usually, and stick to it. But that's a load of crap, really. You shouldn't worry about sounding like a native speaker when you're not. I get the appeal of choosing an accent because it makes your journey feel more organized, more goal-oriented. Maybe it gives you a sense of direction. It's that thing of the levels from A1 to C2 all over again. Organized doesn't mean that it represents reality accurately. What ends up happening is that people go down this rabbit hole of trying to imitate an accent perfectly, which can make you start obsessing about every vowel sound, every R or every T, every intonation pattern, and then it becomes about performance and not communication. It also makes you feel like you can only use certain learning resources, right? So like, oh, I'm going for an American accent, so I shouldn't watch this British show, or I don't want to confuse my ear by listening to too many different versions of English. Look, the reality is that English is a global language, right? And understanding it means being exposed to a lot of voices, not just one idealized version. So locking yourself in a single accent cuts you off from tons of great material that could actually help your fluency. And I'm going to say this again, even if it hurt you the first time you heard it, this obsession with sounding authentic or native comes from insecurity, from the belief that your own accent, your Spanish or Latin American accent when speaking English, is what's holding you back. And this is a great moment to talk about something I've always thought, and maybe I said in one of the first episodes of English with Dane, but in the English-speaking world, Spanish-speaking accents are often seen as positive traits. Seriously. Research and real-world perception show that accents from Spanish speakers can come off as exotic, confident, and attractive. People associate them with culture, warmth, music, and identity. So if you think about it, your accent is not a flaw, it's a feature. You don't have to get rid of your accent. You don't have to be British or sound American to be understood. What you do need is to be clear, consistent, and expressive, and that's it. So, key takeaways so far in this episode. Don't choose an accent to impress. Choose exposure, choose communication, and feeling comfortable with how you sound. All right, let's move on and talk about something that I think is really interesting. Why are some accents in English more difficult to understand than others? And I'm talking specifically for Spanish speakers. It's easier for a Spanish speaker to understand a general American or a standard British accent. Think the show Friends or The Office when imagining a general American accent, and that BBC English when thinking of standard British. Yes, it's because we're exposed to them much more through culture, so we're more used to them. But I want to go beyond that. Why are those two considered by far the most listener-friendly? And what is it about other accents that make them too hard aside from the exposure thing? It turns out that there are phonetic and rhythm-based reasons why these accents are more listener-friendly for Spanish speakers. This is what I found. First up is vowel clarity. Vowel clarity. Spanish has a very stable 5-vowel system, right? A, E, I, O, and every vowel is pronounced clearly and consistently. There's no schwa, so that sound. That's why Spanish speakers might say what instead of what, at and ut, that ut sound. So both general American and standard British, especially in informal or scripted context, tend to articulate vowels more clearly than many regional accents. That's why it's so easy for Spanish speakers to understand them compared to others. Compare that to Glaswegian, so from Glasgow, or Northern English accents where vowels are heavily shifted and unpredictable. For example, house might sound like house. Right might sound like rate or even rut, depending on the speaker. That's crazy. For a Spanish speaker trained on more standard vowels, this can feel like a whole real language. Spanish consonants are mostly pronounced the way they're written. So Spanish speakers have trouble when English accents start doing things like dropping sounds, so gonna, wanna, what's up, etc., and from American casual speech. Glottal stops, so like the Cockney or Glaswegian accent, when they say butter instead of butter. Can't believe those are the same word. And then linking or swallowing consonants, so common in fast Irish, Northern UK, and Australian speech, which are like the three that students complain the most about, like the hardest ones to understand. General American and Standard British, while still doing some of these things, are far more neutral and slowed down in formal or media contexts, which makes them easier to follow. So that's another reason. Then we have rhythm and intonation, so stress time and syllable timed. So English is a stress time language, which means that some syllables are longer and others are reduced. Spanish, on the other hand, is syllable timed, where each syllable is given roughly equal time. So General American and Standard British generally have clean, regular stress patterns, especially in formal speech or education, and this makes them easier to predict and train your ear for. That's important. Predict and train your ear for. So by contrast, accents like the Scouse accents from Liverpool have a very musical and sing-song rhythm. Glaswegian can sound flat, fast, and with a lot of syllables crammed together. Juntadas, crammed together. And then Jamaican patois is often syllable timed, but with very different vocabulary and grammar. These patterns throw Spanish speakers off, se desorientan, because their brain is trying to decode not just the words, but also the timing and rhythm. And last but not least, we have speed and reduction. I thought this one was really interesting. A lot of regional accents are just faster and more reduced in everyday use. Glaswegian, again, for example, is spoken really quickly. It drops consonants and has non-standard grammar and idioms, and it compresses sounds. For example, I'm just going to read this like it says, okay? An example is, do you know Ken? Or do you know Ken? For do you not know? Do you know Ken? For do you not know? For a Spanish speaker, that's like getting hit with a sentence that has half the sounds removed and the rest just completely mashed together. General American, especially in newscasts, las noticias, or Standard British as used in education and media, and give learners time to process. Spanish speakers rely on certain phonetic expectations because of how things work in Spanish. So Spanish speakers actually need clear vowels, pronounced final consonants, no vowel reduction, and predictable syllable timing. So when an accent breaks too many of these rules, like an Irish or a Scottish accent, it creates listening fatigue and confusion. That makes sense. That stress syllable thing is so real. The moment syllable rhythm stops being predictable, all bets are off. So now we know why certain accents are more difficult than others. And if you're someone who beats yourself up when you don't understand a new accent, now you know why that is. I heard a Jamaican guy talking the other day, and I had to listen several times to really get what he was saying. He was speaking Jamaican patois, and I got like 30% of it, if that. Okay, we learned some stuff, but now it's time to do a little accent training. So I've prepared this challenge for you. What I'm going to do is play an audio of someone talking, and you have to figure out what that person is saying. See how much you can make out or understand or decipher, whatever you want to call it. See how much you can understand, how much you can make out. Simple as that. I'll start with an accent that should be easier for you to understand, and then we'll work our way up. There are 4 levels to this challenge, and the first one is Standard British.
A good education can make us richer, healthier, and help us to thrive. And governments around the world compete in global rankings to see which nation is deemed to have the best school system in the world.
So you probably understood most of that, maybe a word or two that you didn't know or didn't register, but you got it. Not much mystery there. Let's move on to the second audio. Here's audio number 2. This is Carson Daly talking about his MTV show TRL from the late 90s to mid-2000s.
We are, of course, here in Times Square, MTV's home, and we'll be bringing you the top 10 most requested videos, not from us, from you. That's how the show works.
And once again,
we are, of course, here in Times Square, MTV's home, and we'll be bringing you the top 10 most requested videos, not from us, from you. That's how the show works.
So that was faster, but I'm sure you got a good amount. If you didn't, go back and listen again a few times until you feel comfortable. He said, we are, of course, here in Times Square, MTV's home, and we'll be bringing you the most requested videos, not from us, from you. That's how the show works. Así funciona. Let's take it up a notch. Now we're going to have a harder time. Number 3. Here's a Scottish accent. This is someone speaking in Parliament.
Can I ask the Honourable Gentleman what work is being done to make sure that this place is more accessible, particularly for some of our colleagues who have a disability?
How much of what he said did you understand? Let's hear it again.
Can I ask the Honourable Gentleman what work is being done to make sure that this place is more accessible, particularly for some of our colleagues who have a disability?
So he said, can I ask the Honourable Gentleman what work is being done to make sure this place is more accessible, particularly for some of our colleagues who have a disability? That's a tough one. I'll play it again now that you know.
Can I ask the honourable gentleman what work is being done to make sure that this place is more accessible, particularly for some of our colleagues who have a disability?
I feel like you got it now, and you can start to really hear how some words change according to where the emphasis is placed, so on which syllable the emphasis is placed. I think he says accessible.
Is more accessible.
When I would say accessible. All right, we have one more, level 4, and I'm going to make this one impossible. This is an artist, a rapper, Glorilla, being asked if she's excited about her new album coming out. She's from Memphis, Tennessee.
What's the emotion right now?
I'm super excited. My anxiety through the roof. And I ain't even got no bad anxiety. Like, I'm just ready for it to come out. Like, I'm excited for everybody to hear it.
Let's listen to that again.
What's the emotion right now?
I'm super excited. My anxiety through the roof. And I ain't even got no bad anxiety. Like, I'm just ready for it to come out. Like, I'm excited for everybody to hear it.
She said, I'm super excited. My anxiety is through the roof. And I ain't even got no bad anxiety. Like, I'm just ready for it to come out. I'm excited for everybody to hear it. Yes, she said, hear it.
For everybody to hear it.
That word that maybe threw you off at first was anxiety. And now that you know what she said, let's play it again. Remember, it's about reps. It's about repetition. Here it is.
I'm super excited. My anxiety through the roof. And I ain't even got no bad anxiety. Like, I'm just ready for it to come out. Like, I'm excited for everybody to hear it.
Like I said, Glorilla is from Memphis, Tennessee, and her accent is really influenced by regional dialect that she grew up around. It's a really interesting accent. And later in the interview, she says, beautiful spirit.
She got a beautiful spirit.
And it's so different to any other accent you've probably heard. That one was really tricky. If you got everything she said right away, I'd be really impressed. So how'd you do? How'd you feel? Tell me in the Spotify comments how you felt on a scale from 1 to 10 with your performance. 10 meaning that you understood everything first time around, and 1 meaning that you didn't get anything until I told you what they said. I really do want to know, by the way, so I can calibrate for next time. Also, tell me if this was useful, if it was fun, and I'll do an entire accent training episode, which I think could be cool. All right, before we finish up, quick vocabulary check. There were a few phrases I wanted to quickly talk about. The first one is to be thrown off. I mentioned it, but I wanted to make sure you remember it. If you are thrown off by something, you maybe got distracted or you got confused. Descolocado, descolocada, I think, is a good translation. What I said was a different set of rules and new sounds that you're not used to, and that's what's throwing you off. And then we had all bets are off. All bets are off is an idiomatic expression that basically means anything can happen. Any preconceptions about what might happen are dismissed because a situation is now unpredictable. Bets, apuestas, right? All bets are off comes from the world of gambling. It initially meant that the bookmaker, el que lleva las apuestas, the bookmaker was no longer taking bets, or that existing bets were void, nulas, void, due to a change in circumstances like race being canceled, for example. What I said was that stress syllable thing is so real, the moment syllable rhythm stops being predictable, all bets are off. I also wanted to talk about to hit close to home. If something hits close to home, it's something that makes people feel uncomfortable or upset because it's something they are sensitive about. It's a very personal subject. I used it like this. I want to start by talking about something that maybe hits close to home for you. And last but not least, to be worse off, con doble F, to be in a less advantageous position, less fortunate or prosperous. I used it like this. I think you're worse off trying to force an American or British accent. If you liked any of these, put them on your list, which you definitely have and are definitely adding to every day. All right, that's it for this episode of English with Dane. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was useful. If you liked it, send it to someone who might also like it. Help me get the show to more people. And if there's anything in particular you want me to talk about, or you just want to say, hey, write to me on Instagram at English with Dane, or leave a comment on Spotify. Have a good week. Later.
She got a beautiful spirit.
Beautiful spirit.
And I just saw it pop up on my news feed, and I was just happy. I was geeked. Why are you laughing?
Nothing. I'm sorry.
What you laughing at, man?
Nah, it popped up on your what?
On my nerves feed.
The old nerves feed. Okay. I'm familiar with the nerves. I've heard of that before.
Yeah, it's a blessing to have a set of natural curt teeth.
Yeah. The accent. I've noticed though every word that has like that U sound is a word that you would say funny, like
Yeah.
like nerves feed. Instead of like view, you would say
Ver.
right. What's the city in Texas called? Not Dallas, but
Houston.